Hello and welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
That's all right. Okay, so today we are having a Monday time to talk. And my lovely guest today is Sarah George. Hello, Sarah. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Claire.
Hello. Now, Sarah is an IT trainer, and which doesn't sound like the sort of thing you would think about when you think about death and dying and why are we talking about IT. But Sarah is going to show us or talk to us about creating a digital family archive, which is something that we have been talking about recently, because we've gone through various topics, Sarah, as I think I explained to you about, downsizing, the Swedish death cleaning, and you've got all these beautiful photographs, all these beautiful memories. I don't know if you know Kay, she came on and told us about writing life stories and things, and that's fantastic. But what are we going to do with them? Where are we going to put them? And obviously, if you write them and put them in a book, that's fabulous, but how are we going to do that? So, Sarah, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll work out how this fits in with you?
Right, so as Claire told you, my name is Sarah George. I am an IT trainer. I am the person behind MsG Writes. Sorry, I had to lean back for my dog just appears behind me.
There's usually a cat wanders in and shows everybody its bottom, don't worry.
So I have been working in IT for about 25 years, and I've been a trainer and qualified teacher for the last 10 years. And I generally teach users how to use the applications. That's what I do. And I'm very, very interested in technology. I'm very passionate about technology.
Yeah. That comes so the minute I met you, on a thing with a mutual friend, you were beavering away doing your IT, and somebody had an IT question straight away. Sarah's like, if you do blah blah blah, we're like, oh, okay, thanks so much. So as well as teaching, obviously you use it in your home life as well. So
yes.
You created a presentation for us today, haven't you?
I have indeed.
Yes, brilliant.
And a little video as well, so that if I rush through it too fast, you'll be going, what are you doing? I've got a video for you.
Thank goodness you know me. Because my mum's really interested in this, because we have got so many photos, and my mum's really into genealogy, so we've got all the family photographs have all ended up with my mum, suitcases of them. And I know where they're going when my mum shuffles off this mortal coil. She's already said they're all yours. My brother's mildly interested, but he'd say, well, I've got no room for them, so I need to work out how to be the custodian of this. So you ended up having to be the custodian of memories, didn't you? So would you like to tell us a bit about that?
I will do. And I'm glad to see I'm not the only person who has that job foisted upon them. So one of the reasons why, like so many people, I lost my grandparents. Most of them, one actually before I hit my teenage years, and the rest in my 20s. So my children only remember one of my grandparents, which was my grandmother. But worse than that, unfortunately, just as I came up on my 40th birthday, I lost my younger brother. I lost my baby brother. Now, he left behind two young children who now are never going to, their children are never going to meet their grandfather. And my grandchildren obviously won't meet my grandparents. Luckily for me, both of my parents are still alive. So whenever we go through the family photo albums, I have a huge pile of them on the floor beside me. I'm not going to show you that because it's a mess. But we're in the process of digitizing all of the family's photographs. And it's part of that process that I want to show you today. Because photo albums are gorgeous, but they are so easy to damage. And even when I look through my mum's photo albums, I'm like, well, who's that? And she's like, I don't know. Who's that? That could be your auntie such and such. Well, who's that? Well, I don't know.
And if you haven't written them on the back, if you haven't written them on the back, and if you haven't recorded all of that, it's lost, isn't it? And no one's going to suddenly pop up and go, oh yes, that's so and so, because if your mum and dad don't know, you know, that they're going to die, you know, unfortunately with your mum and dad, aren't they? Who knows who they are?
And that's one of actually the beauties of doing this digital archive, is if you then share it with the family, you might actually find somebody within the family who does know who it is.
Good
Yes,
call.
I apologise for the dogs in the background.
That's okay.
Neighbours are coming home, I expect.
Great excitement, protecting
yes,
mum.
It is. They're very excited. They're very excited to learn about Google Drive.
Yes.
So what I'll do is I will share my screen and show you the short presentation that I've created, which will run you through.
What is Google Drive? For those that are going, what's Google Drive?
Okay, so I'll share, and then before I start the presentation,
okay,
I
thank
will
you.
speak to you about that.
Righty-ho.
So Google Drive is the cloud storage for Google. There are loads of, you can use any of the platforms. The reason that I've chosen Google Drive is because, in fact, let's actually move on to the next slide. Let's actually play it. Right. Is that actually playing the sound? Yeah. No, I don't really. Actually, I don't really want to do it though, do I? Right, so that's annoying. Pause. Right. Sorry, that was rather annoying.
No, it's okay. Don't worry.
Go back. Thank you. Right. Okay. No. What are you doing? Right. Okay. So Google Drive is the cloud platform for Google. It's a shared store. It's your storage. And one of the reasons why I like Google Drive so much is the fact that it gives you 15 gig for free. It also has an application which you can. I'm going to do it this way. It also has. Oh, I'm
even experts get it. Have bad days. Don't worry, everyone. If you're going, help.
Right. Let's try it again. Yeah, because I lost my share then as well.
Oh,
that was my fault.
That's all right. It doesn't matter.
Perfect.
There we go.
Right. So the main reason that I chose a Google Drive is because it has not only does it start with 15 gig of free storage.
Is that a lot?
That is actually a lot, yes.
So how much is that? Because I don't know. Just assume that I know nothing about computers, Sarah.
It's a good question. Right. So my friend Google, how many photographs? 15 gigabytes. Just to give you an idea. Right. Google reckons, if I can move the share your thingy out of the way. Helps if I put the word photographs in there, doesn't it? Google reckons that's around 5,000 photographs.
That's a lot of photographs.
1 or 2, yes.
And that's for free.
And that is for free. You can buy additional, but that is for free.
Is that expensive?
Do you know what? I do not know, because I've never bothered to look.
Because you haven't needed to. But if you suddenly, if you found you had 10,000 photographs, which is a lot of photographs, let's face it, you could add to that if you chose
but I'd
to.
probably set up a second drive because I'm tight.
That's a really good idea. Mum's side, dad's side, sorted. Right, okay, moving swiftly on.
And
sorry.
Never the twain shall meet.
Yeah. This is why you don't have me as a student, because I ask all the stupid questions.
There is no such thing as a stupid question.
Absolutely.
The other reason why I like Google Drive in particular is that there is an app for your phone called PhotoScan. So I do have a flatbed scanner. I also have a negative scanner. But when I'm around somebody's house and I want to steal a photograph, sometimes I just whip out my phone and use the PhotoScan app.
Good idea.
It's really, really simple to use. So I'm not going to do this as a slideshow anymore. I'm going to just do this.
Just talk us through it.
Yeah,
That's
just
cool.
talk it through it.
And do you know what, Sarah? I'm really not taking the mick, but that gives someone who, I mean, I can find my way around what I've got to do, but some of the people that are watching, I know will be going, I don't know how to do that. So seeing somebody go, oh, it doesn't always flow magically. So that is even better. And I'm not saying that to take the mick. I actually think it shows people it doesn't always work for people who really know what they're doing first time.
No, and people don't believe me when John and I say that in our meetings. It's like, we understand that you struggle with the technology. That's why you are here.
Yeah.
But don't think just because between us we've got 60 years worth of IT experience, it plays up for us too. Yeah. And we sit here and think, right, can I actually throw this machine out the window?
Definitely. I know my IT department does.
It's very much a shared ethos. They're very irritating, but they're part of our life and they're actually really useful.
Yes, they are.
So, right.
So your photo scan.
Yeah, photo scan, 15 gigabytes, lots of lovely photographs. You can actually create lots of folders. We go on and do this in a minute.
Okay.
So I've already signed up for Google. I have a Gmail account. We're going to create a new folder for you, and then I'm going to show you how to share it. Excuse me.
Okay.
How to share it, and also how you can then control whether you decide whether people are going to be just a viewer or whether you're going to let them add to it. Whoever sets it up is the person who has control over it.
Right.
All of this and a few other bits and pieces are in a video, which I will send across to you.
Fabulous. Thank you.
So what I'm going to do is try and move our window out of the way. I'm going to pause and see if I can get this to work properly this time. And we'll go to my Google Drive. Right, so new share, Google Drive, share and resume.
Right.
I've lost my live now.
No, you're still here. You're definitely still here.
Yeah, I can see it now. Okay, so this is one of my Google Drives. This is the one that I use for the family album. As you can see, it says family album over here. So we're going to assume just for a moment that this is your brand new shiny Google Drive. You've just signed up for Gmail and you've never used the Google Drive. Right, just to show you where it is, if you go over to these Google apps here, the 9 dots, and click on them, Google Drive.
Yep.
Is this little beauty here.
Got you.
So it's nice and easy to find.
Yep, under your photo.
It is under my photo.
In the corner.
That's not actually a photo of me, that particular one, but never mind.
Okay.
So I'm in my nice shiny new Google Drive. So the first thing I need to do is to create a new folder.
Yep.
Come on, work. Thank you.
New
so
folder.
George family album. If I can spell it all correctly. Oh, there's the first. So nice new folder. So what I'm going to do is I am going to share this. So I did a right mouse click on the folder and I'm going to click share. So this is telling me who's sharing it. I could send people links, but it's actually easier to just copy the link.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go done. Now that would allow people to share it. So I'm actually going to go back in and I'm going to change the permissions.
So you would send that to, for example, your daughter, your son, your mum, your dad, so that they can access it and get into it from the same place on the computer.
Yes, indeed. So I could leave it as viewer so they could all look. I could leave it as commentator so that they can actually write descriptions. Or because I actually want the family to add photographs to it, I've made them an editor.
Yeah, because then if people go, oh, that's Auntie Maud and that dress was Cousin Francis's birthday party, if they can do it there and then rather than phoning up and go, Sarah, that picture, then you've got to go through and find it. No, not that one, the other one. Yeah, that makes sense. And it's an heirloom thing then, isn't it?
It is. It is. I would hope that my daughter, when I toddle off, will be, in fact, I know for a fact she will be, taking up this role of the family archiver. I think it's becoming a job role.
Is it? It should be a trouble. And just, I'm probably jumping ahead.
No,
Will you be telling us how you can set that up to transfer to other people when it comes for your time not to, maybe it comes a point where you can't do it anymore?
Well, in theory, you can't. Well, in theory, you can't transfer your accounts.
Right.
They belong
Oh,
to
because
you.
Google own them, don't they?
But as I've set people up as editor, then my daughter can add with her own email address. What I should do is, at some stage in the not too distant future, is I will have to add her in here as her email address.
Yeah.
I won't do it now.
No, of course,
but,
yeah.
Daughter.
Yeah.
Although, why didn't I actually type? So I could actually add her, and then she will always have a link to it.
Yeah, got you.
The other way, of course, that I could do it is the fact that I could just give her my username and password. That's actually the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, because that's fraught with possibilities of fraudulent activity, isn't it? Obviously not your daughter. I'm not saying your daughter's a, no more than mine, but in some families it can be problematic.
Yeah, you can do a change of ownership on email addresses. I've never tried it with Google. I do know that AOL does actually have a policy where they will allow you to take ownership of somebody else's email. Because that was actually how I had to get my brother's email, and how I had to get into his Facebook.
Yeah,
which we had the conversation about last
week.
week.
Yeah. How did you manage to do that, just briefly? It was possible, wasn't it?
Yes, I emailed AOL's customer services, explained that my brother had been dead for, it was actually 2 years at that stage. And what I was trying to do, I was actually trying to get in and shut down all his social media accounts, because this was in a time before Facebook had set up the legacy accounts. I could prove that I knew Simon because I was in his contacts, and I was actually one of the last people he emailed. So I said, look, I'm in there. This is my email address. He's my brother. We have the same surname, if you look. And they actually did a change of ownership for his email over the phone with me, because I could prove who I was.
Mm-hmm. So it is possible. It is worth asking them, and whatever company they are with, it is worth saying, I can prove I'm so and so. You're checking the accounts, you can check blah 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 blah, and you can argue the toss with them. If you get somebody that says no, we don't do that, you can say, can I speak to somebody, because it is possible.
A lot of these companies now actually have what they class as a legacy setting. So in Facebook in particular, you can nominate a person to take over your account, and they can then choose to keep it going in your name or memorialize it. The benefit of memorializing a Facebook account is the fact that you don't get the birthday reminders every year on their birthday. But you still do get updates, and people post to. I've got a couple of friends who've had their accounts memorialized, and they regularly, their wives or husbands or children regularly post updates, which is lovely to see.
I suppose especially these days where your friends aren't necessarily people you'd see all the time, so having it set up like that, you wouldn't perhaps know how Bob's children were doing, but perhaps an annual picture of Bob's children and grandchildren is nice, or around their birthday or around their anniversary. For example, we went out my cousin passed away, and when he would have been 60, we went out for a meal for his birthday. It wasn't let's go and have a meal, but it's let's all go out, let's go to his favourite place, which was Hastings, and we had a lovely meal in the pump house, Hastings, which he loved. And we got a photo of us raising a glass to his 60th birthday, which, because it wasn't that long after he'd passed away. And that's special. And I sent a picture of that to his two best friends, because it's kind of, we haven't forgotten, but without being, it wasn't a maudlin kind of thing, but it was just a nice, we were literally, having this meal. So I can see why people would, but it can cause rows, can't it?
Well, I went to see the last Star Wars was one of the first films I saw with my brother, and I
Yeah.
went to see the last one just before Christmas. Would have been, was it last year or the year before? And Zippy went with me, which is the icon that we used
Oh,
as
for
for
your
my
brother.
brother. So he went to see it as well.
Oh,
And so obviously I posted the photographs because his daughters love to see that somebody still remembers and is still carrying on and doing bits and pieces and thinks about him. So it is, it's a very personal thing,
yeah, it
and
is.
some people don't like it and some people do, so I'm always very wary what I do post. But if I go somewhere new for a family thing, Zippy goes with me. There's always a photograph of Zippy wherever it is. I've got one of him sitting on Scotney Castle sign where we went for my dad's 70th.
Oh,
The last
brilliant.
Star Wars film was the end of an era as well. So yeah. And these photographs, because obviously we can't take any more photos of Simon, but they continue his legacy, and they're there for his grandchildren and for
Yeah,
my children and my grandchildren too.
and that's an important part, sort of important part of the healing process, but also for people who, like you say, his children, those memories have stopped, but it's a healing and probably a really comforting and supportive thing to know how much somebody meant to. I mean, you don't need to wave a flag. I mean, they'll know by talking to you how much you loved him, but to see that he's still thought of day in, day out, it's, and for other friends who, I mean, for example, my father-in-law died October 2019, and we didn't shut down his Facebook account. My husband and my brother-in-law undenied, and they've left it. And a member of the family did contact me and say, did you know it's still up and running? It's going to be upsetting for people. Can you close it? Not a direct relative, I should say. I'm not going to go into any further detail. The very same night, a person contacted Mark via Messenger and went, I've been trying to get hold of your dad with no answer. His Facebook page has stopped, so I found you on there. Is he okay? And Mark had to say, I'm really sorry, mate, but no, this happened, blah, 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 blah. Then proceeded to have a conversation with him and find out about facts about when they worked together and had a giggle. And Mark was able to say, well, I remember you were the guy with the dog that we came to see. And, and so that was a magical moment that came about because that Facebook was still there.
Yep.
So,
well, if the person, I'm going to get very controversial now. The person who doesn't like, if you don't like seeing your family members or friends' Facebook pages being memorialized by their family and friends, then unfriend them, and you won't get those notifications.
Yeah, and if people were posting something controversial on there or using it in a way to, I don't know,
wind up or bully the family.
Yeah, or to get extra points in games they were playing or something, then that, but if it's just to have as a page to remember people on, I'm on a couple of memorial pages for people, and it is nice every now and then just to see their face pop up again because they've been part of your life. Anyway, I've digressed. I warned you.
Yeah, we both have.
Sorry.
Because but we're so fixated on our photographs.
We are.
They are moments in time that you can't get back. This is why they're so important.
Definitely.
Which is one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about this project. As I say, I've got a huge pile of photos on the floor, photo albums on the floor behind me. So these are photographs that I have uploaded. Some of these are some of my absolute favorites.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
This is 3 generations of my family. So this little photograph, this little lady here is my mother.
Yes.
With her mum and her grandmother. And somewhere down here, if I go and find it, I actually posted these photographs. So yeah, sorry about all the photos of my lovely grandchildren. If I can find it, but there is another one. So that was
your dad's 70th.
Yeah, that was Scotney Castle. Yeah, sorry. Most of these photographs are either alcohol or
celebrations of life.
Celebrations of life, very much so. I can't find it now. Where's it gone? Where is it? There is a photograph with 4 generations. Yes, 4 generations.
You'll find it when you're not looking for it later.
Yeah, I know. This should be
We've got some that are,
here,
you know.
this one. So this one's 4 generations. And as I,
right.
when I posted it on Facebook, I'm like, the oldest one in this photograph is the youngest one in the other one.
Oh, so that's your mum?
7 generations of our family.
Yeah, so
Side
that's
by
your mum,
side.
you, your daughter and your granddaughter.
Yes, yes,
Wow.
it is. And obviously
Wow.
these photographs of my brother.
Yeah, 1986.
My baby sister as well. I
Oh.
sent this to her at the start of lockdown, which she then sent to her mum, and apparently her mum was in floods of tears, where she
Oh.
was so happy that she'd received such a beautiful photograph of her daughter.
Oh.
So they are precious. Now you can see some of them are slightly badly coloured. There's a couple of really bad ones here. This, excuse me, this one here, Sarah and Simon, that one actually was lifted from a slide.
Because there are apps to be able to do that, aren't there?
Yes, there are apps. You can have a negative reader for your phone. I could sit and play with them in Photoshop and bring them back, but actually it adds character to them to show how old some of these photographs are.
Definitely.
So, and it's, as you can see, we get up to no good, you know,
yes.
all of us as a family.
That's what I like to see.
So what I was saying about actually putting comments and let's see if I can actually see this. So if I look, so this is Harry Herman Lister, great grandfather apparently.
Right.
And somewhere in here, hopefully I've put some details. I can't actually see it. Excuse me peering. Where's my details gone? Oh, look, it's over here. Nah. So because this particular gentleman is actually, he's a very distinguished particular gentleman.
He is.
He is rather. There is actually a little bit about him. Oh, he's great grand uncle apparently.
Right.
Born in Dublin. He is mentioned. I think it's a Roald Dahl book. Apparently, he was a bit of an arse.
Oh, I remember you saying about him now.
But he actually, I think he was knighted, so I think he was actually a sir. But yeah, so you can actually go in and actually write a piece about them, because otherwise when my children and grandchildren go through these photos, they'll be like, who's that?
Who's that? Because you could do that on things like Ancestry, but then anybody can access it if you're not careful, whereas this is just your family, and you don't want Bert from Australia saying, I'm your 5th cousin 74 times removed related to the kangaroo clan. You know, you don't want everybody that could possibly be related to you around the world necessarily seeing all these things until you know that they are who they say they are, do you? You know.
No, exactly. And this is, I've only sent this to immediate family, so it's gone to my 2 children, and it's gone to my brother's 2 children, and it's gone to all of my sisters, because there's 5 of us.
Yeah.
So they've all got it. And they've obviously never met Simon. They never met their dad's grandmother or grandfather. So the only connection that they have to these people is through the photographs that I'm sharing.
And they're wonderful, aren't they?
I think they're incredibly important. I do actually do photography, so there are and my granddad, this gentleman in this photograph here,
hang on,
he was a photographer as well. So we actually have a lot of family photographs going back through the ages, which is great. So if the ones that I can pin down who they are will eventually be added to this. And at the start of lockdown, I actually scanned all of my negatives, so I put around about 4,000 additional photographs onto my computer. And I've since been into the loft and brought down the photo album so that I can actually sit on my flatbed scanner and actually start scanning some more of these photographs in. So that's
time consuming, isn't it?
It is incredibly time consuming, which is why lockdown was a perfect time to do it.
Yeah.
But once it's done, it's then, you know, it's there forevermore. That I mean, I am aware that the technology moves forward, but there's no reason once I've digitized these photographs that I can't move them somewhere else. So if we change our storage systems, I could just send them to another storage device. Having them on the cloud just means that they're really easy to share. Don't actually think the cloud's going anywhere anyway anytime soon.
No, I don't. And that was another question, another thing that Mum and I were discussing, and that's that, you know, when it comes to, if we set this up now, if in 30 years, well, 10 years time, 5 years time, it's completely different. Whoever is the curator, so to speak, whoever is the digital curator and is kind of the IT savvy one, because there's going to be one in every generation, they should be able to say, right, I'm going to transfer this from Google Drive to
wherever, somewhere else.
Yeah,
the
future
other
you know, yeah.
The other added benefit of this is, you know, God forbid anything happens to my house, I have these photographs of somewhere else. You know, it's disaster recovery because they're on the
That's
Google
true.
Drive.
Yeah.
So not only do I have a copy of them on my computer and also on an external hard drive, because I'm IT person, so I have my own backup, but I also have a copy of them up on the cloud. So as I say, if my house disappears under a tsunami overnight, then I've got a copy of them.
You've got, yeah, because I mean, I've saved a lot of photos to Facebook just for, because my old computer was dying, and there's only so many you can hold on your phone. And, you know, I've done that into private albums, but I don't really want them there because
it ruins the quality of them, to be fair. Facebook compression really does destroy the quality of the photographs.
Yeah. I mean, they're all modern. There's, because you know, photography kind of went out of fashion, but now you've got your phone and you can do your zap, 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 zap all the time, aren't you? And that's not even my phone. That's I don't even know why I picked that up. It's actually a pack of
Post-it notes.
Yeah, I couldn't even think what they were. I was going to say highlighters, but they weren't highlighters. But, you know, you do take snaps. You instead of thinking I've got to get my camera out, you've got your phone. And you do take snaps again of things, don't you?
And what a wonderful thing it is, because I went through all of my photographs to find that I only had about 6 or 7 of me out of nearly 4,000 photographs. And my daughter's like, well, why are there no photographs of you and I when I'm little? I'm like, because your dad didn't like taking photos.
Yeah.
I was always the one who took photos.
Yeah.
Now, my daughter backs up her phone to my computer. Every 6 months she comes up, we plug the phone in, we go and have coffee and cake and stuff like that while her phone backs up to my computer, so that if she loses her phone, she doesn't lose the memories of her children. Let's face
so many, isn't there?
Oh yes. And from that, obviously, the best of the photographs I then share up into this drive, which is why there are so many lovely photographs of my grandchildren.
Well, no, but that's beautiful, though. And funnily enough, Mum was saying earlier on, she has got a smartphone, but it's an older, more basic one. And her memory is saying that it's full. And she's got lots of pictures on WhatsApp that we've all sent each other. She goes, but I want to keep those photos. Some of those I want to keep. And I go, where's your lead? And she's going, I don't know. And I said, there are ways of doing it.
If you're doing it on WhatsApp, if you actually download the web app onto your computer,
yeah,
it'll come up with a QR code, and you can actually sync it, and then you can download from the computer version of WhatsApp onto your computer, so you can actually help alleviate some of the storage.
Awesome.
Is it an iPhone or an Android phone? If it's an iPhone, they'll be in her iCloud anyway.
It's not an iPhone. It must be Android. I would have I'll have a look. My son's the IT expert, so
but enough
about my
slightly.
So that actually looks relatively straightforward to do.
Yep. So I'll show you how easy it is. If you bear with me, I'm just going to flick my video off for a second, because my screen's about to turn itself off. How annoying is that?
Oh, okay.
So bear with me 1 second while I just stop that from.
Oh, and she's coming back with a bit of luck. Because if you're expecting me to talk about IT, we're all in deep trouble.
No, I'm here.
We could be in big trouble.
Yeah. All right, where's my Thank you. Right, sorry about that, but
That's
you
all
didn't
right.
want
No,
me
that's
to
cool.
flash my midriff at me while I stood up to turn my screen back on.
Well, you know, it might have been the thing for some people.
I doubt it.
Might be a better view than mine right now.
Okay, so I'm going to add photographs to this is what I'm going to do. So click on new. I'm sure I can find some.
Yep.
File to upload. No. It must be file to upload. Yeah, it must be file to upload. So it automatically goes and looks at my photos. So
Yep.
we don't want it in that one. Oh, here we go. Oh, let's send this one up here. So I've literally just clicked on a photograph of my dad, which I'm sure he'll love. And it's now uploading down the bottom here. Right, so
It really is that simple.
It really is that simple. I don't know where it's put it. It'll be F, so it'll be near the top because I didn't bother to rename it. There we go. That is a beautiful photograph of my dad as a baby.
So from there, you can just name it.
Yeah, I can rename the file, which I'll do. Right mouse click. Not report abuse.
Rename.
Yeah. No. Caps lock. Really struggling with this keyboard. Grandpa George.
Okay.
And there we go.
There you go. So supposing now you want to put what he was doing, you know, how old he was in that picture, or age,
Yep.
I don't know. So you go to
so I want my description, which I struggled to find a minute ago. View details. Yeah.
And then you can add a description. That really is straightforward.
Yep. Born mostly. Okay, so we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. So that's that. And then obviously you could put these in, you could create folders and put them in the George family, the Brown family, the Fullers, the Smiths, the whoever's. You could do that.
Yes, you certainly could get us create, and you could actually share at a lower level if you were planning to do that. So obviously I've just done this as a family album, but I could actually separate the families out and just share that part of the family with that side of the family and just share this side of the family with that. But for my lot, I don't. It's like it's my photo album.
No. So supposing you had, I don't know, your daughter got married and everybody wanted to put their photos in the same place.
Yep.
You could on this because this is now a shared drive, isn't it? So I'm looking at it like the old computer systems at work. So this is a shared drive that you would have a photo album that said so and so's wedding, and then all the family could put their photos.
Yes, indeed they can. So we're going to go for new folder. Actually, well, I don't know if that was in there. So we'll put wedding. Again, exactly the same, created. And then shared. And I would set it up so that so everybody can edit it and then send the link out, copy the link, and literally let's pop it in the comments. Please don't use this. No, actually I'll send it to you, I think, in the chat so you can see how quick it is.
And everybody can then edit what they are wanting to put in it. They could put, you know, mum and so-and-so dancing, auntie so-and-so's had one over there. You could put whatever you want in. I'm thinking we have lots of family things where, you know, our family are in Kent and they're in Norfolk and they're in Yorkshire and they're in Newcastle. So when we get together, obviously those photos, they go on Facebook, but they then go back to various places. But we could have a combined, you could do those things. That's fantastic.
And you can send them the link to their phone. So as you've, or you could actually create, you could put, well, no, it's getting a bit, me personally, if I was doing that, I would probably create a QR code and stick it on the wall. If I was helping my daughter organise a wedding, I would create a QR code and stick it where the book goes, where you actually write all the lovely things in their notebook. So I personally would print out a QR code and say with a note that any photographs that you take today, please send me a copy to this folder. So that
people who are confused about QR, That is that sort of square, black and white, almost barcode that they were using for track and trace.
It is actually a 3-dimensional or 3D barcode. That's what a QR code is.
Oh, I'm impressed. I'm impressed. And they're on lots of things, aren't they? They're on all sorts of things. And it is, you know, that would be something. So for those, because I don't use them, but you know, it is that simple. So it would, and it's simple to create, simple to set one up for an event.
Any smartphone will read a QR code. Cool. So I personally, as an IT person, would use them quite a bit. I used to use them in part of my teaching. We used to do a scavenger hunt where we'd put QR codes up around the building, which would tell you where the next location was.
Wow, that's interesting.
It's just a fun way to play with IT.
Okay. Right. Okay. So we've got our Google Drive set up, and it's safe, isn't it? Because it's got good security. Because it's,
Google has to have good security. It's part of what it does. Everybody has had issues over the years, but they all try to do better.
Yeah.
So their security is quite good.
People weren't expecting fraud to start with, were they? They weren't expecting people to, because obviously I'm thinking if you put things up like stories or names, you know, maiden names are quite often a bank password, aren't they? So, you know, they would need to be, you need to be mindful of that maybe. But if it's got good security, then you're there, aren't you?
Yeah, their security is as tight as it can be at the moment.
Excellent.
Nothing is foolproof, unfortunately.
No.
But if you want foolproof, unfortunately, you are getting your photographs and putting them in the safe, and nobody will ever see them again. So you have, it is a bit of a trade-off with technology. Yes, the freedom of use, unfortunately, is there is a slight security risk.
Yeah,
but large
there
companies.
Anything.
Yeah,
there is with Facebook, there is with your emails, there is with online shopping, and it's a different thing to somebody coming and, you know, taking your wallet out of your bag wherever you go. Is always going to be that risk. So you just have to do as much as you can to keep it secure. And this is the best security, short of digital vaults, which probably there's going to be a cost for. This is a version that is easy to change.
And you can, if you think you've been breached, you can always take the share off.
You can change your passwords too, can't you?
You can. I'm fairly sure, if memory serves me correctly, editors can change, so you can take that off. And you can remove. Can you actually remove the share?
I would imagine you can.
I could always just delete the folder, of course. I'm going to do that on the wedding one.
I mean, you could copy it all, put it somewhere else, and then delete the lot, couldn't you?
Exactly. So yeah, I could actually move the whole lot. So if and it won't actually. So Control A has actually highlighted all of them. And if I right mouse click and move to, oh no, I'm not going to do this. But yeah.
No, don't do it.
It'll annoy everybody I've sent a link to.
Entire album on there, I'll be like, no.
But it's now asking me where I want to put them.
Yeah. So you could move it to another name.
I could do that. So if I thought somebody had compromised this, then yes, I would move them somewhere else and then reshare it, making sure that only the people who I wanted to have the link had the link.
Brilliant. Okie dokie. So where are we in our IT lesson?
I think I can't really show you how to use PhotoScan, but it is incredibly simple to use.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is, I didn't mean to do that.
That's all right.
I'm just going to bring the PowerPoint presentation back up to show you the icon for that again, except I've now lost my Zoom meeting.
You're still here.
I know, but I've lost.
Have you got multiple screens up?
Yes, I have. But my Zoom meeting had disappeared. So PhotoScan, that is the icon for PhotoScan. Okay. So that's what you're looking for in the app shop stores. As far as I am aware, In fact, no, I know for a fact it's available on both iPhone and Android.
Right.
And it really is, you literally put the photograph on a flat surface with some reasonable light. You click on your photo capture. It puts 4 dots in the corners of the photograph, and you move the phone and it actually takes 5 separate shots and merges them all together to give you what is actually quite a nice photograph.
That's a really good idea. That's fantastic. Is that another free thing, or is there?
They are both free, yes.
Okay, cool.
I only really deal in free software.
I don't blame you. There's enough to pay, isn't there, at the moment? Okay, brilliant.
What I'll do is, if I stick in the chat the link to the little video, which covers a little bit more about the process.
Yep.
But not a huge amount. It's only a minute or so long. There we go.
Brilliant, thank you. And then, because it might be the sort of thing that you have to watch I'd have to watch it a couple of times, and watch it maybe. I mean, we're quite early tonight, so people are trying to get tea and all the rest of it, but it might be something you sit down and go, right, where's that link? I'm going to do that. I'm going to teach myself how to do this, because I'm going to have to watch that through and work out how to do it. And then
I'm going to watch the live back and go, oh my God.
No, you're not. You're going to go, that's fine. And I'll probably do the link and sit there and do it, and then still phone my son and go, right, Dan, how do I do this? So that's brilliant. And that is, I'm not just saying that is far more simple than I'd thought, because I was thinking this could be really, really complicated. And if you come in halfway through it and thought what they're talking about, it does sound complicated. But if you sit down and go, right, okay, watch that video, that little clip, and you're going to put the presentation in there, because that's a nice step-by-step thing. That's really great. Thanks for doing that. I really appreciate that.
That's no problem.
Yeah. So we've now managed to create a digital archive and share it with people.
I don't like technology to be too complicated. So it's about, for me personally, it's about breaking down the steps, because they're not that difficult. It's just when you look at the whole thing, you're like, oh no, there's no way I could do that. But when you actually look at it step by step, it's actually relatively simple.
I mean, even Zoom, I know people that go, I can't get on Zoom, I can't do it. And I'm like, it really is simple. The hard bit is setting it up. The hard bit is, it's not even as if it's like pressing the right thing and clicking the right thing. Once it's done, you're set up and you can go in and out as though you were just picking up the phone. It's that simple. When I use Zoom sometimes to call my children, to call my mum, because I know they're online, and rather than pick up the phone and do it, I can chat to them while I'm doing something and show them something while I'm doing it, rather than send a text or message. And once you get hold of something like that, and I've heard of Google Drive, and I knew vaguely what it was. I knew it was storage. I knew it was like sort of the version of the cloud, but I didn't understand. When it comes up, do you want to save it here? I'm like, no, don't want to save it there. Don't know what that is. Go away from me, evil thing. But now I know, and now I know I'll go and have a play. And I think that's important, that we had all these photograph albums and the paper clippings. I do a post every day, and one of them later on in the week is about digitizing newspaper clippings, because who hasn't got those? The KM used to always have the first day at school, and it had every class all going like that. Every kid is in them, and it's a free picture of your child. Everybody's got them. All these beautiful little 4-year-olds going, so you've got them, and they're going yellow and they'll fall apart, but you scan them in and you can save them. Or when somebody, I don't know, is involved in Red Nose Day at school, and they're in the picture wearing their red nose, and clutching their check for 75 quid that they've raised by I don't know what for whatever, and that's in the paper. You want to keep that, don't you? Because that adds a little bit to somebody's story.
Yep.
Coupled with Kay was talking the other week about writing your life stories.
I saw that. I mean, those sort of things you could also put up in Google Drive and have a different shared folder, including what you were talking about with that lovely lady last week about having the list of what you want done in the event of your death.
Yeah.
And
I mean, Sorry, go on.
And then send it to the person who you want to, who you know will follow your instructions.
Yeah, it's like you saying you've got a file on your computer that is in case of, well, not in case of, when I die.
Yeah, when.
Yeah, unless you've discovered.
Oh, I am immortal because as a photographer, I am immortalised.
Susan George has discovered the alchemy of Sarah George. Susan George is an actress. What am I on about? But you know, you've got that file.
She's
for your
also
daughter.
older than me too.
She's much older than you, much older than you, darling. But you've got that folder for her to go to. But if you've got this on a shared thing, I've got cats screaming to come in now. They'll start batting at the door in a minute. Like this at the door. So you've got that, but if you've got this shared drive, that information is there for I Would Like Somewhere Over the Rainbow. It's a really popular song. You'd be surprised how many people have Somewhere Over the Rainbow at a funeral. Daniel O'Donnell. Everybody loves Daniel O'Donnell. You know, there's a lot of that, you know, and things that I really like. This poem was at Auntie Flo's funeral and it was lovely, or I do not like this hymn, you know, just, and it could be fun as well. It hasn't got to be, you know, but if it's there and it's all sorts of, it's going to save a lot of trouble later on, isn't it?
Although the song that I would have picked from The Wizard of Oz wouldn't be Somewhere Over the Rainbow, it'd be Ding Dong the Witch is Dead.
You know what I should have done at the beginning of this? I should have asked everybody what their funeral songs were, couldn't I? As you know, my friend Ruth does. She was it wasn't my first guest, she was my second guest, and she's a solicitor, so she does will writing and life and sort of legacy stuff to do with like the law. And she always had like a hot drink conversation. I really should have done what's your funeral song, list your three funeral songs, shouldn't I? I should have introduced that. So you've got Ding Dong the Witch is Dead.
Possibly a bit of Lincoln Park in there to wake everybody up.
Yes, yeah, I've gone, do you know, the first time, I remember this very clearly, and I'm going to talk to, in a couple of weeks time, I'm talking to the lady that taught me my celebrancy skills. And I did my training with, and she's a wonderful lady, and we had to talk about different funerals. And I remember the first time I went to a funeral and it wasn't hymns, and this was, oh my goodness, it's got to be not 30 years ago, 25 years ago maybe. And we were all sat there in the crematorium, and the guy who died, Paul, had died of a heart attack very suddenly. He was only 42, and we were all absolutely distraught. Anyway, we sat there, and he left a widow. They didn't have children, and we sat there. We'd had sort of, you know, some light music that wasn't hymns because he wasn't religious, but it was. And then as it came for him to leave, there's this dung dung, and we're looking dung dung, and
Bat out of hell.
And all of a sudden, Bat Out of Hell comes for, and we're looking at each other going, fair play. That's the first time I heard pop music, and I must have been, I'm trying to think, I don't know if Sophie was born, so maybe it's more like 20 years ago, but it's a long time ago. And it was so clear that was, you know, that he loved, and he'd gone to see Meatloaf in concert a week before he died, 10 days before he died, and he loved him, so it was perfect.
Although just be careful, because we played Nickelback's Photograph at my brother's funeral. It was about 6 years before I could actually listen to that song without crying.
That's true. Yeah, well, do you know, Bat Out of Hell now, I still hear that, and I still think of this guy who was just not just, but he was a friend, and I still think of him all these years later as soon as I hear Bat Out of Hell. So, well, thank you very much, Sarah.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you. And I'm really inspired now, and I'm going to harass my mum, make her watch this and say, right, this is what we're going to do. We might have to phone my son, phone a friend, phone an IT
No, you can email me. Leave your son alone.
Oh no, he's used to it. He's used to it. He does it all the time. He gets sent all these things. How do I do this? He probably sees me ringing and goes, oh, what can't she do now? But at least
it's the other way around for me. My kids still ring me for tech support.
He does all of that, but I mean, I just got the hang of uploading my videos, my lives from here, downloading them to my computer, and then putting them on YouTube. And then Facebook changed where they store their lives and how you can do it, but I've got it now. I've got it now. So thank you very, very much, Sarah. If people want to a question, if they wanted to get hold of you, can they? Is there an email they could ask you a
There's
question?
an email address on the logo,
Yeah.
which you posted. Obviously, there's a link to my YouTube up there. I can I'll share the video if you look. Well, let's find it. Now you put me on the spot again.
Well, you can add it in the comments afterwards.
I can actually add it here anyway. Actually, let's put it over here.
See, everybody that does IT, you might have the brain the size of a sieve, the size of the world, sorry.
It's in there. But yeah, no, it's like...
Excellent, got it. Yeah. So if there's anything anybody wants clarifying, you're more than happy to do that.
Yes. Obviously, if I don't respond straight away, it generally means that I was busy. Do you want me to put a link to the YouTube video in the chat as well over there?
Yeah, please, if you can. Yeah, and then when people digest it and have come back and worked out what we're talking about.
Just be warned, I forgot to turn the sound down on the slide, so it's quite loud.
Brilliant. Okay, well, thanks a lot, Sarah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and I will be back next Tuesday with, I'm not sure who with yet, depends who. I've just got to shuffle 2 ladies around, but we're getting up to the stage of we're actually getting to the funerals now, and the actual when death actually happens. I've done 6 talks on all before death, which is quite an interesting thing, that there's a lot to do the before, isn't there, preparing. So thanks for joining us, Sarah.
Thank you
Take
for
care,
having
everyone.
me.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.